The Afanc Welsh pronunciation Afanc, sometimes also called ydamcat, is a lake monster from Welsh mythology. Its exact description varies. It is described variously as resembling a crocodile, beaver or dwarf-like creature, or a platypus, and is sometimes said to be a demon. The lake in which it dwells also varies. It is variously said to live in Llyn Bar Fog, near Brynburian Bridge, or in Llyn Afanc, a lake near betws-y-coed that was named after the creature. The Afanc was a monstrous creature that, like most lake monsters, was said to prey upon any foolish enough to fall into or swim in its lake. One of the earliest descriptions of it is given by the 15th century poet Lewis Glyn Cothi, who described it as living in Llyn Cyfadyn, in pause citation needed. One tale relates that it was rendered helpless by a maiden who let it sleep upon her lap. While it slept, the maiden's fellow villagers bound the creature in chains. The creature was awakened and made furious. Its enraged thrashings crushed the maiden, in whose lap it still lay. It was finally dragged away to the lake Cwmf Finnan, or killed by Peredur Percival, Peredur's name in Credion de Troyes, telling of the Arthurian cycle. In the tale, Peredur, son of Afanc, translated by Lady Charlotte Guest in the Mabinogion, taken from the White Book of Rydyrch and Red Book of Hergest, the Ydamc of the lake resides in a cave near the palace of the sons of the King of the Tortures. The palace is so named because the Ydamc slays the three sons, chieftains of the king each day, only for them to be resurrected by the maidens of the court. It is not stated why this cycle of violence continues, but when Peredur asks to ride with the three chieftains who seek out the Ydamc daily, they state that they will not accept his company, as if he was slain they would not be able to bring him back to life. Peredur continues to the cave on his own, wishing to kill the creature to increase his fame and honor. On his journey he meets a maiden who states that the Ydamc will slay Peredur through cunning, as the beast is invisible and kills his victims with poison darts. The maiden, actually the Queen of Constantinople, gives Peredur an adder stone that will make the creature visible. Peredur ventures into the cave, and with the aid of the stone pierces the Ydamc before beheading it. When the three chieftains arrive at the cave, they state that it was predicted that Peredur would kill the Ydamc one. Some legends ascribe the creature's death to King Arthur. Close to Llyn Barfog in Snowdonia is a hoofprint petrosomatoglyph etched deep into the rock Carn March Arthur stone of Arthur's horse, which was supposedly made by King Arthur's mount, Lamrai, when it was hauling the Ydamc from the lake. According to a version of an Afanc legend as put forth by the famous writer of myths and folklore Edward Williams, known as Iolo Morganwg, its thrashings caused massive flooding which ultimately drowned all inhabitants of Britain save for two people, Dwyfyn and Dwyfach, from whom the later inhabitants of Prydain descended. According to one version of the myth, also put forth by Iolo Morganwg, Ugadarn's oxen dragged the Afanc out of the lake. Once it was out of the water, it was powerless, and could be killed. This version locates the creature in Llyn Llion. The correct rendering of this name in modern Welsh depends on the specific source. The Middle Welsh Afanc of Llyn Barfog is Afanc in modern Welsh, a word which is now used to mean beaver. The form Afanc is also used in the Red Book of Hergest and most other medieval sources. In the Middle Welsh version of Peredur's tale, in the White Book of Rydyrch, the creature in the cave is called the Ydamc. Afanc is by far the most common spelling. An Afanc appears in Silver on the Tree, the final book in Susan Cooper's The Dark is Rising sequence. In the Merlin episode The Mark of Nimue, the villainous Nimue creates an Afanc by molding a small figure out of clay and hatching it from an egg-like container. The creature spreads a deadly disease across Camelot through the water it inhabits, until Merlin and Arthur manage to destroy it. In China Miéville's 2002 book The Scar, the floating city-state of Amorta summons an Afanc, attaching it to the city and using its huge pulling power to cross the ocean. 3. In the October Day series by Seanan Maguire, Afanc are a marsh creature about the size of a cow, with fur scales and a disturbing number of teeth. 4. In the Lord of the Rings online video game, the culture of Dunland, sparsely described by J.R.R. Tolkien, is heavily based on the Welsh mythology. The Afanc appear as wildlife monsters in Dunland, with appearance resembling that of a crocodile with fur and scales. A lake monster from Welsh mythology, the Afanc can also be traced through references in British and Celtic folklore. Sometimes described as taking the form of a crocodile, giant beaver or dwarf, it is also said to be a demonic creature. The Afanc was said to attack and devour anyone who entered its waters.